Hello, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is James Eventide, and I will be your host as you travel off to a gentle slumber. Before we get into the story, I wanted to thank all my new subscribers. I'm so grateful that you've entrusted me to help you fall asleep. Our little channel here, Long Lullabies, has recently broken 100 new subscribers, a milestone that I'm not sure I thought we would ever hit. So I wanted to express my gratitude to all of you for listening. And if you do enjoy my stories, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. That tells the YouTube algorithm that these stories really do help you fall asleep. I thought I would celebrate 100 subscribers with a little bit of a different story. This one is a little bit more adventurous, a bit more of a goodnight thriller, if you will. If you enjoy it, please let me know in the comments. Our tale tonight is one I wrote called The Venice Connection, in which we follow historian Elena Rossi, who stumbles upon an extraordinary discovery within the ancient walls of the Palazzo Morosini. A hidden room reveals documents and a journal that speak of a lost masterpiece by a renowned Renaissance artist, linked to a secret society known as the Guardians of the Light. Determined to uncover the truth, Elena enlists the help of Marco De Luca, a local tour guide with an intimate knowledge of Venice. Together, they delve into the city's rich history, navigating through hidden passages and unraveling a centuries-old mystery, where they must outwit a powerful and dangerous art collector, Isabella Conti, who will stop at nothing to claim the treasures for herself. Their quest becomes a race against time to preserve history and reveal the truth to the world. And before we start our story, let's take a moment to find ourselves and get centered as we prepare for sleep. So I hope you've found a quiet, comfortable place where you can sit upright or lie down, but I want you to feel the ground that you're upon. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow my voice to guide you into a state of deep relaxation and inner peace. Begin by taking a few deep breaths. Inhale slowly through your nose. Allow your lungs to fill completely. Hold the breath for just a moment. Then exhale gently through your mouth. And with that breath, release any tension you feel. Continue this slow, rhythmic breathing. Let each breath calm your mind and relax your body. Bring your awareness to your body. Feel the points of contact with the surface beneath you. Feel that sensation of whatever you're perched upon, and let your body feel supported and at ease. Now, I'm going to invite you to gently introduce a word or a sound into your mind. This sound should be simple, meaningless, like ah or or any soft sound that feels natural to you. Silently repeat this sound to yourself without force or concentration. If there's people around that you don't want to wake up, you can put the sound in your mind. But I want this repetitive sound to help you stay focused and centered. Let it flow effortlessly. If your mind wanders or you become distracted by thoughts, use this sound to return to your center without judgment. There's no need to control your thoughts. Just allow them to come and go as you gently return to your sound. Continue to repeat your sound softly and effortlessly. Notice how with each repetition, your mind begins to settle like a leaf, gently floating down to rest on the surface of a still pond. Allow remaining tension in your body to dissolve. Let it be carried away by the calm rhythm of your sound. As you continue this practice, you may notice moments of deep stillness and quietness. Embrace these moments. Allow yourself to sink deeper into relaxation. If thoughts do arise, acknowledge them without attachment and gently return to your sound. There is no right or wrong way to experience this meditation. Just trust the process. Let go of any expectations. Allow yourself to be enveloped in a sense of calm and peace. Continue this breathing. Continue your sound. And in a few moments, you will transition from this meditation into our soothing bedtime story. Take one last deep breath. Hold it in for a moment, and then exhale slowly. Know that you can carry this sense of calm and relaxation with you, both into the story and beyond. Feel the peace and stillness within you, ready to be carried away into the gentle adventure that follows. Thank you for joining me on this meditation. May your mind remain calm, your body relaxed, and your heart filled with peace as you listen to our bedtime story, which follows. Now, let us begin our journey into a world of soothing dreams, and let us embark on the Venice Connection. Venice, with its labyrinth of canals and time-worn palazzos, is a city where history whispers through every stone and shadow. Elena Rossi stepped off the Vaporetto onto the streets, her senses immediately enveloped by the city's unique blend of saltwater, aged stone, and the faint musk of history. She adjusts the strap of her leather satchel, heavy with notebooks and research materials, takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of potential settle over her. Her destination is the Palazzo Morosini, a lesser-known estate that has become a focal point of her research. It stands in a quieter part of the city, away from the throngs of tourists. The palazzo had once been the residence of a prominent family that had mysteriously faded into obscurity in the late 16th century. Elena had come across references to the estate in historical texts, hinting at hidden rooms and secret societies. It was these whispers which ignited her curiosity and brought her to Venice. As she approaches the palazzo, its facade looms with faded grandeur, the ivy creeping up its stone walls like green fingers grasping at the past. The windows are dark, casting a secretive gaze over the narrow street. She pauses for a moment, taking in the sight, feeling a thrill of anticipation. The palazzo seems to hold its breath, waiting for her. With a creak of ancient hinges, the heavy wooden door opens, and she steps inside. The air within is cool and thick with dust, carrying the scent of old paper and forgotten memories. Her footsteps echoing softly in the grand entrance hall, where portraits of Morosini ancestors line the walls, their eyes following her with a mixture of curiosity and silent judgment. Elena makes her way to the library, the heart of her research. The room is a treasure trove of ancient books and manuscripts, their pages yellowed and brittle with age. Sunlight filters through the window, casting a golden haze over the rows of bookshelves. She settles at a large oak table, spreading out her notes and tools. Hours pass as she pores over the documents, her fingers tracing the faded ink on the fragile pages. The silence punctuated only by the soft rustling of paper and the distant sound of water lapping against the canal walls outside. It was late afternoon when a particular sketch caught her eye, a depiction of the palazzo with an unusual architectural addition, a room that did not exist in the current floor plans. Intrigued, Elena's eyes light up. She carefully examined the sketch, noting the details and the annotations in the margins. This room could hold the key to the mysteries she sought to uncover. Determined, she decides to investigate further. Elena meticulously explores the ground floor, examining the walls and floors for any signs of hidden spaces. She runs her fingers over the frescoes, her touch light and searching. Hours slip by, and just as she is about to give up, her fingers brush against an uneven section of plaster. She presses harder, and with a soft click, a panel slides open, revealing a narrow passageway. Heart pounding with excitement, Elena squeezes through the opening, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. The passage led to a small, dust-covered room. The air is stale, and the only sound is her own breathing. In the center of the room stands a small wooden desk, its surface cluttered with old papers and sketches. Elena's eyes widen as she carefully sifts through the documents. Among them, she finds a bundle of letters and a leather-bound journal. The letters are correspondence between members of the Morosini family and a renowned Renaissance artist. The journal, however, was the real treasure. It details the creation of a masterpiece that had been lost to history, a painting of such significance that its discovery could alter the understanding of Renaissance art. The thrill of discovery surged through Elena. Had she stumbled upon something extraordinary? She carefully packs the documents into her satchel, but a certain sense settles over her. If the painting was so important, why had it been hidden away? And who else might be interested in finding it? She retreats back to the palazzo's main hall, the echoes of her footsteps mingling with the whispering shadows. Outside, the city of Venice continues its timeless dance, unaware of the secrets that lie inside the palazzo. Elena knew her journey to Venice was only the beginning, and she can't shake the feeling that the past has a way of reaching out to those who dare to seek it. Elena stands at the edge of the Grand Canal, the late afternoon sun casting a warm glow over the shimmering waters. She clutches the leather-bound journal tightly, its weight both physical and metaphorical. The city's beauty seems to pulse with the hidden secret she had uncovered, and she feels a sense of urgency to understand more. But she needs help, someone who knows Venice intimately and can navigate its maze-like streets and canals. She's joined by the sound of footsteps on the cobblestones, which pull her from her thoughts. It's Marco De Luca, a local tour guide she contracted, with a reputation for knowing Venice's every hidden corner. He approaches with his charismatic, easy smile. Marco has a knack for blending into the city's tapestry, his knowledge of its history and secrets making him an invaluable ally. "Elena, it's good to see you." His eyes sparkling with curiosity. "You sounded urgent on the phone. What have you found?" Elena glances around, ensuring no one is within earshot. She leans closer, her voice low. "I discovered a hidden room in the Palazzo Morosini. Inside there were documents and a journal detailing a lost masterpiece by a renowned Renaissance artist. It could change everything we know about the era." Within the journals, there was a clue about a hand pointing through an eye towards a sunburst, which would help reveal the location of this masterpiece. But the journal doesn't make it clear. All I know, so far, is this hidden room where I found the documents. Marco's expression shifts from curiosity to astonishment. A hidden room? A lost masterpiece? That's incredible. But why would it be hidden? And why now? Elena shakes her head, the questions echoing her own thoughts. "I don't know, but I intend to find out. I need your help, Marco. This is bigger than anything I've ever worked on." Marco nods, his expression serious. "Of course. We'll need to tread carefully, though. If this is as important as it sounds, others might not want it to come to light." Together, they begin their investigation in earnest. The city's archives, a sprawling collection of documents and records housed in an old, stately building near the Rialto Bridge, beckons them as their first stop. the facade of the building a testament to Venetian grandeur, its arched windows and ornate carvings. Inside, the air carries the weight of centuries. Elena and Marco stand at the entrance, momentarily overwhelmed by the sheer volume of history contained within these walls. Rows upon rows of shelves stretch out before them, each crammed with volumes that whisper tales of the past. The muted light filtering through stained glass windows cast a golden hue over the space, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the air. Marco leads the way to a quiet corner where a large table waits, its surface worn smooth by centuries of countless researchers over the years. They settle into the silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of paper or the soft thud of a book being placed on the table. They lose themselves in the archives. Elena carefully cross-references the letters and the journal entries with historical records, her fingers deftly flipping through the fragile papers. Marco, with his knack for uncovering hidden connections, pores over maps and architectural plans. The deeper they dig, the more they realize the magnitude of their discovery. For days, they lose themselves in the archives. Then one afternoon, as Elena traces the faded ink of a particularly old manuscript, she feels a pulse of excitement. "Marco, look at this," she whispers, her voice tinged with awe. The document detailed the existence of a secret society known as the Guardians of the Light, a group that wielded considerable influence during the Renaissance. They used art to convey hidden messages, their power extending far beyond mere aesthetics. Marco leans in, his brow furrowing in concentration. "This is incredible," he murmurs. "If the lost masterpiece is connected to them, it could reveal so much more than just artistic value." Elena nods, her eyes shining with determination. "We need to understand symbolism in paintings. It could unlock hidden truths about the political and social dynamics of the Renaissance." Their research leads them to seek out Professor Giancarlo Bianchi, an expert on Venetian secret societies. The professor's office, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city, was a chaotic sanctuary of knowledge. Books and papers piled high on every surface, their spines cracked and pages yellowed with age. The air was thick with the musty scent of old parchment, a fitting backdrop for their discussion. Professor Bianchi is a wiry man with keen eyes and a perpetually rumpled appearance. He listens intently as Elena and Marco lay out their findings. He leans back in his chair, steepling his fingers as he processes the information. "The Guardians of the Light," he mused, his voice a low rumble. "Most historians dismiss them as a myth, but your evidence suggests otherwise. If this painting exists, it could prove their existence and influence." Elena feels a surge of validation at the professor's words. "We're close, Professor. We just need to find the final piece of the puzzle." The professor nods, a glint of excitement in his eyes. "Then you must continue your search. But be cautious. Those who seek to uncover the past often find themselves entangled in its shadows." With renewed determination, Elena and Marco leave the professor's office, the weight of their discovery pressing down on them. Venice, with its labyrinthine streets and hidden corners, holds the key to their quest. They just have to follow the clues and stay one step ahead of those who would keep the secrets buried. The following afternoon, as Elena and Marco sit at a quaint cafe near the Piazza San Marco, poring over their notes, they feel a shadow suddenly fall across their table. Elena and Marco look up and notice an elegant lady approaching them. She was strikingly elegant, moving with a graceful, almost predatory air, almost like a panther. Her hair perfectly coiffed and dark, gleaming in the sunlight. She wears an impeccably tailored designer dress, which accentuates her commanding presence. Her sharp eyes, framed by artfully applied makeup, seem to miss nothing as they sweep over the cafe. The click of her high heels on the cobblestone street announce her arrival, and even the jaded Venetian heads turn as she makes her way to their table. "You must be Miss Rossi. I hear you've made quite an interesting discovery," Isabella said, her voice smooth but carrying an undercurrent of seriousness. She seats herself without invitation, her movements graceful. "I am an art collector well versed in the Venetian Renaissance art movement. Perhaps I could assist you in your research. I understand you have documents." "How would you know that?" Marco asks, concerned. Unknown to them, their visit to Professor Bianchi had not gone unnoticed. Isabella Conti, a wealthy and influential art collector, had her eyes and ears scattered throughout Venice, looking for new art and access to intelligence. Her network of makeshift spies, including a few strategically placed in academic circles, had infiltrated even the professor's office. One of these spies, a seemingly innocuous assistant, had discreetly reported back to Isabella about Elena and Marco's intriguing inquiries. Elena feels a chill run down her spine. Isabella's reputation precedes her, known for acquiring rare pieces through questionable means. She was not someone to be trusted. "Thank you, Miss Conti, but I prefer to keep my research independent," Elena replied, maintaining a polite but firm tone. Isabella's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Very well, but remember, Venice is a small city. Secrets have a way of coming out." The encounter left Elena and Marco on edge. They redoubled their efforts, knowing they had to stay ahead of Isabella and her network of spies. The sun dipped low over the Venetian skyline, casting elongated shadows across the canals as Elena and Marco navigated the narrow, winding streets. Their footsteps echoed softly, mingling with the distant hum of evening activity. The city's charm was undeniable, but a sense of urgency propelled them forward. Each clue brought them closer to the lost masterpiece, and each step heightened the danger they faced. Their research brought them to the ancient church of San Sebastiano, known for its stunning frescoes and rumored connections to secret societies. The church's facade, though weathered, still held an air of solemn grandeur. Inside, the high vaulted ceilings and intricate frescoes painted by the Veronese created an atmosphere of awe and reverence. The dim light filtering through the stained glass windows bathed the interior in a soft, multicolored glow. As they explored the church, Marco's eyes scanned the frescoes with meticulous care. Elena trailed her fingers over the cool marble of the altar, lost in thought. Suddenly, Marco paused, his gaze fixed on a fresco depicting a biblical scene. "Elena, look at this," he called, his voice barely above a whisper. Elena joined him, her eyes widening as she noticed the subtle symbols woven into the fresco's design. In the fresco, there is a hand that is pointed unusually at one of the angel's eye. And just following a straight line from the eye, it points to a sunburst, which appears over a portion of the fresco, which seems to be slightly different than the areas around it, as if it had been retouched in centuries past. "Could this confirm it?" she said, her voice filled with excitement. "Could this church have been the meeting place of the guardians? There might be more clues here." They spend hours meticulously examining the fresco and the church's nooks and crannies. After hours, they feel like they have seen every single inch of San Sebastiano. Finally, they return to the original fresco, searching it for more clues. Elena has a sudden realization. In the retouched area below the sun, there is an image of a door, which she had assumed had just been part of the retouching. But now that she had seen the church in detail, she recognized that door. The unique stonework matched that was just underneath a tapestry in another room. They retrace their steps, trying to relocate that tapestry, and when they do, they look around carefully to ensure no one is watching, and gently tip the tapestry forward. And behind it, they discover a small hidden door. Elena's heart races as Marco gently pushes the door open, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. Quietly, and without being noticed, they step through the door. The air grows colder as they descend, their footsteps echoing off the stone walls. The flickering light of their torches casts eerie shadows, adding to the sense of mystery. At the bottom of the stairs, they enter a dimly lit chamber. The walls are lined with stone wet with age, and in one corner, they notice a small recessed area where an ornate chest is on display. Elena approaches the chest with reverence, her fingers trembling as she lifts the lid. Inside, wrapped in aged velvet, lay a series of sketches and notes. Among them is a detailed map of Venice, marked with symbols corresponding to various artworks. The map is ornately illustrated, done by a skilled but ancient hand. With their new knowledge, however, Elena notices that one of the cherubs decorating the outside of the map is pointing with a finger. That finger points at an eye of another cherub. Following the line created by the pointing finger through the eye points to a seemingly decorative landscape on the map. But that landscape has a sun above it. That is a direct line from the pointed finger through the eye to the sun. Elena's breath catches in her throat. Marco, this could be it. This map could lead us to the painting. Marco studies the map, his eyes narrowing in concentration. Look here, this sun. This must mark the location where the final clue is hidden. That building, that is near the Palazzo Ducale. Their excitement was tempered by the knowledge that they were being watched. Isabella Conti's shadow loomed over their every move, and they knew they had to be careful. They decided to visit the Palazzo Ducale under the cover of night, hoping to evade Isabella's spies. That night, Venice's canals glittered under the moonlight, the city's beauty masking the danger that lurked in its shadows. Elena and Marco navigated the labyrinthine alleys with practiced stealth, their senses heightened by the thrill of their quest. The palazzo, with its imposing facade and intricate Gothic architecture, stood as a silent sentinel of history. They slipped into the palazzo through a side entrance, the heavy door creaking softly as it closed behind them. The narrow corridor they found themselves in was dimly lit, the flickering light from an old sconce casting long shadows on the worn stone walls. Elena and Marco exchanged quick, determined glances before moving forward. The distant echo of footsteps reached their ears, and Marco held up a hand, signaling Elena to stop. They pressed themselves against the cold, rough wall, barely daring to breathe as a guard's shadow loomed closer. The guard paused, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness, illuminating the ancient tapestries and dusty corners. Elena's heart pounded in her chest, her fingers gripping the edge of the map tightly. Just as the beam of light was about to sweep over them, Marco pointed to a narrow alcove to their right. Moving silently, they slipped into the small space and were hidden in the shadows. The guard's footsteps grew louder, his radio crackling with static and distant voices. Elena held her breath, feeling Marco's steadying presence beside her. The guard's flashlight hovered inches away from their hiding spot, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. After a tense moment, the light moved on, and the guard continued down the corridor, his footsteps fading into the distance. Once the coast was clear, Marco gave Elena a reassuring nod, and they cautiously emerged from their hiding place. They moved quickly but silently through the grand halls and the opulent rooms, which were filled with the ghosts of history, their former grandeur now cloaked in shadows and silence. Following the map's instructions, they navigated through a maze of corridors and grand chambers, each step bringing them closer to their goal. They avoided another patrol by ducking into an ornate side room filled with dusty antique furniture. Elena's pulse quickened, and she recognized the tapestry matching the description on the map. "This is it," she whispered, pointing to the intricate weaving. Marco delicately pulled the tapestry aside, revealing the hidden alcove behind it. Referencing the journal, Elena finds a concealed switch, and with a soft click, the door swings open, revealing a passageway to a forgotten chamber. With a final, cautious glance back, they step through the door, the secrets of the past awaiting them on the other side. The air is thick with dust, and the flickering light of their torches reveals a large, covered frame standing in the center of the room. They approach the frame with bated breath, the golden light from their torches flickering across the canvas. The painting depicted an old Italian noble, his stern visage staring out at them. The background was a detailed landscape of Venice, with intricate architectural elements and subtle, almost hidden symbols woven throughout. Elena furrowed her brow. "This must be it," she murmured, her fingers tracing the edge of the frame. "The detail is incredible." Marco nodded, leaning in to examine the painting more closely. "Look at the way the light is used," he said, pointing to the interplay of shadows around the noble's figure. It almost looks like there are hidden messages in the shadows. They spend several minutes scrutinizing the painting, noticing the meticulous brushwork and the layers of meaning seemingly embedded in the background. The noble's stern expression, the precise positioning of his hands, and the subtle patterns in his clothing all suggest a deeper significance. "There's something about his eyes," Elena said, peering closer. "They seem to follow you, almost as if they're trying to convey a message." They returned to the journal to find the references to the secret meanings. But despite their initial excitement, a growing sense of unease creeps over them. The painting, while impressive, lacks the profound impact they had expected based on the journal's description. There were symbols, but they felt superficial, as if they were added as an afterthought rather than being integral to the composition. Nothing about the symbols matched what was in the journal. Finally, Marco said, "This can't be it, Elena. It's too obvious. The Guardians would have hidden their secrets more carefully." Discouraged, Elena paces about the room, and she notices an old painter's drop cloth in the corner. "What's this?" she asked, moving towards it. She pulls back the cloth and reveals a smaller, less assuming painting. They turn their attention to this new painting, and after a moment they realize the true significance of this artwork. This painting was a riot of intricate details, and the hidden messages and symbols match those described in the journal. The foreground showcases a bustling marketplace with merchants and townspeople, each figure rendered with remarkable precision. Among them, a robed figure holds a lantern aloft, the light casting an almost supernatural glow. Elena recognizes this as a symbol of the Guardians of the Light, guiding the way through the darkness, exactly matching a sketch in the journal. In the middle ground, the scene transitions to a grand palazzo, its windows shimmering with golden light. Hidden within the ornate architectural details are tiny, almost imperceptible symbols. An eye here, a sunburst there, each a clue mentioned in the journal. These symbols are a part of the coded language used by the Guardians to convey hidden messages. The background depicts the majestic canals of Venice under a twilight sky, the water reflecting hues of purple and gold. Subtly interwoven into the reflections were constellations, their patterns forming an astrological map. Elena and Marco notice that certain stars are painted with a brightness that draws the eye, hinting at their importance in unlocking the painting's secrets. Elena leans in closer, her eyes tracing a delicate filigree along the edge of the frame. There, almost hidden within the intricate design, was a series of tiny scripted words in Latin. She translates them aloud. Lux Veritatis, light of truth, the Guardian's motto. The journal had mentioned this phrase, suggesting it was a key to understanding the Guardian's influence. As they continue to study this small painting, they find more symbols and references. A pair of intertwined serpents, barely visible among the foliage, a symbol of knowledge and wisdom. A distant tower with a single illuminated window, suggesting a place of gathering or a hidden chamber. Each element seeming to point towards a deeper understanding of the Guardian's role in Renaissance politics and society. The symbolism within this artwork is unmistakable, Elena whispers, her voice tinged with awe. Matching with the journal, these hidden messages tell the story of the Guardians of the Light, guiding us to uncover their secrets. They hear a click in the distance. Someone is approaching. There is the unmistakable sound of distant footsteps. Elena and Marco exchange a panicked glance. "Isabella," Marco said. "She's found us." Quickly, they rewrap the true masterpiece and the journal into the dropcloth, hiding them back in the dimly lit corner. They then return to the large decoy painting in the center of the room, pretending to be in awe of it, just as Isabella and her henchmen burst in. "Get away from that painting," Isabella commands, her eyes ablaze with greed. Her henchmen shove Elena and Marco aside. They surround the canvas. Isabella stares at the portrait of the old Italian noble, noticing the secret messages within, convinced it is the masterpiece she sought. Elena and Marco put up a show of protest, their voices filled with frustration. "You can't take that," Elena shouts. "It belongs to history." Isabella sneers, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. "This painting is mine now," she declares, "and you two will stay here until I decide what to do with you." Elena takes a deep breath and begins to engage Isabella, keeping her focus on the decoy. "You talk about power and wealth, but you're afraid of the truth this painting reveals," she says, her voice loud enough to draw everyone's attention. "The guardians of the light used their influence for the greater good. They preserved knowledge and truth." Isabella's eyes narrow, and she takes another step forward. "You know nothing of power," she spits out, her anger rising. Isabella waves her hand, signaling to her henchmen, who quickly bind Elena and Marco's hands and push them to the ground. With a final, mocking glance, Isabella and her men leave the chamber, taking the decoy painting with them and sealing the door behind them. Elena and Marco wait in silence until the footsteps fade into the distance. The chamber becomes eerily quiet, the only sound their breathing and the faint echo of the departing henchmen. Marco struggles against the ropes binding his hands, but they were tighter than he initially thought. He glanced at Elena, whose eyes were wide with determination. "We need to work together," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "If we turn, can you reach my hands?" Elena nodded, shuffling closer to Marco. They twist their bodies back to back, trying to maneuver their hands into a position where she can untie his knots. After a few tense moments, she manages to grasp the ropes around Marco's wrists. "Hold still," she murmurs, her fingers working deftly. Marco winces as the ropes tighten momentarily, but Elena persists, and slowly she is able to loosen the knots just enough. "Almost there," she whispers, her concentration unwavering. Finally, the ropes around Marco's wrists loosen enough for him to slip one hand free. He quickly unties the remaining bindings and turns his attention to Elena. "Your turn," he says softly, moving behind her. His fingers are nimble and quick, and within moments, Elena feels the ropes around her wrists loosen. Finally, the ropes fall away, and she rubs her sore wrists, breathing a sigh of relief. "Thank you," she said, giving Marco a grateful smile. Marco responds, "You're welcome. Now, we need to find a way to get out of here." Marco returns to the door, trying to figure out how to open it. Elena returns to the journal and opens to the page that described the secret chamber. "Here, this is it." They turn their attention to an old broken wall sconce, missing a candle that would have illuminated the room. They tug on the candle, and they hear the latch of the door to the chamber unhook. Now, Marco is able to push open the door quietly. They grab the painting and the journal, wrap it in the drop cloth, and quickly make their escape through the narrow passageway. Finally, after waiting a long time for the coast to clear, they emerge onto the moonlit streets of Venice. "We escaped," Elena said, clutching the painting tightly. "But Isabella will figure out soon enough that the painting is a decoy. We need to get this to safety." Marco agrees, his eyes scanning their surroundings. "We have to stay ahead of her. Let's head to the boathouse. It will be safe there, at least for now." Elena and Marco hurry through the moonlit streets of Venice, their footsteps echoing off the cobblestones as they clutch the wrapped painting between them. The city's beauty seems almost surreal, the silent canals reflecting the shimmering lights of the buildings. The urgency of their escape thrummed in the air, and they knew they had to find a safe place to examine the painting in detail. They make their way to a small, nondescript boathouse that Marco has access to. The boathouse was hidden away from prying eyes, its entrance obscured by ivy and shadows. Inside, it's a cluttered space filled with old fishing nets, wooden crates, and the faint scent of seawater. It was the perfect sanctuary for their next steps. Marco carefully unwraps the painting, and they lay it out on a makeshift table. Elena's breath catches in her throat as she beholds the masterpiece in all its glory. The colors were vibrant, the brushstrokes masterful, the intricate details revealing a story that is both complex and compelling. "This is definitely it," Elena whispers, her fingers tracing the edges of the canvas. "The lost masterpiece of the Guardians of the Light." Marco nods, his eyes fixated on the painting. "The symbolism here is incredible. Look at the way the light and shadows are used. It's as if the painting itself is alive with hidden messages." Elena leans in closer, her eyes scanning every inch of the artwork. She notices the sunburst patterns and the eyes again, both recurring symbols of the Guardians. But there's more. Hidden within the folds of a painted figure's robes, in the delicate play of light and shadow, were coded messages and maps. "It's a puzzle," Elena realizes, her voice tinged with awe. "This painting is a map leading to something even greater." As they pore over the painting, the flickering light of the lantern casts dancing shadows across its surface. Elena and Marco sit side by side, their faces inches from the canvas, studying every brushstroke and detail. "Look here," Elena said, pointing to a cluster of stars in the corner of the painting. "These constellations, they don't match the night sky of Venice." Marco nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. "They must represent something else, maybe a date or a location." Elena traces the lines with her finger, her mind racing. What if they're a map? These symbols could be coordinates. Marco grabbed a notebook and begins sketching the constellations, matching them to locations on a map of Venice. As he connects the dots, a pattern emerges, one that leads to a specific point beneath the city. "You're brilliant, Elena. That's what it is. They're waypoints, directions," he said, his excitement in his voice. "It's guiding us to a location that we can only get to by going under the canals." Elena's eyes widened. The hidden chamber. It must be where the Guardians conducted their rituals. A vault of knowledge and power. They continued to decipher the painting, unraveling more symbols and messages. Each revelation brings them closer to understanding. Elena and Marco exchange a triumphant glance, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They had done it. They had unlocked the painting's mysteries and discovered the path to the hidden chamber. The next evening, under the cover of darkness, they set out in a small boat, gliding silently through the canals, the city's usual vibrancy replaced by an eerie stillness. Only the sounds of gentle lapping of water and the distant hum of nightlife. Following the map's intricate details, they find a concealed entrance beneath an old crumbling bridge. Elena's heart pounds as they slip through the narrow passageway, the boat barely fitting through the opening. The air grows colder and damper, and they venture deep into the labyrinth of tunnels. Eventually, they arrive at a massive stone door, its surface adorned with the same symbols from the painting. Elena steps forward, her fingers deftly tracing the patterns. She's able to swing the door open, revealing a vast, dimly lit chamber. The chamber itself is awe-inspiring, its walls lined with ancient tomes and artifacts, frescoes depicting the Guardian's history. In the center stands a grand altar, its surface inlaid with gold and precious stones. Elena and Marco approach it reverently, their eyes wide with wonder. "This is it," Lorenzo said, his voice filled with reverence. "The heart of the Guardian's legacy." As they explore the chamber, Elena's eyes fall on a large, ornate chest. She lifts the lid, revealing a collection of manuscripts, each one detailing the Guardian's influence on Renaissance politics, art, and society. "This is what we've been searching for," Elena said, her voice trembling with emotion. "The true history of the Guardians." But their triumph is short-lived. A sudden commotion at the entrance signals the arrival of Isabella and her henchmen. "You thought you could hide from me?" Isabella's voice echoes through the chamber, dripping with venom. Her eyes gleam with dangerous intent as she steps forward, her henchmen fanning out behind her, blocking any escape. Elena and Marco stand their ground, the air thick with tension. The grand chamber, with its ancient tomes and precious artifacts, seems to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. Isabella's gaze is fixed on them, her lips curling in a sneer. Her eyes blaze with fury. "You have no idea what you're dealing with," she spat. "The power, the influence, the Guardian's secrets are mine to control." Marco glanced at Elena, who gives a subtle nod. They knew they had to act quickly. The air crackles with anticipation, every second stretching into an eternity. Isabella's hand moves towards her coat, and in a flash she pulls out a small, sleek pistol. "Enough of this," she growls, aiming the weapon at Elena. "Give me the painting, or I'll destroy it and everything in this chamber." Elena's heart races, but she stands her ground, refusing to back down. "You can't hide the truth forever, Isabella," she said, her voice unwavering. Isabella's henchmen surge forward, but Marco is ready. He grabs a nearby artifact, a heavy ornate candelabrum, and swings it with all his might, knocking one of the men off balance into the other. Elena seizes the moment, using the edge of the grand altar as leverage to strike at Isabella, sending her sprawling to the ground. The pistol clatters away as she braces her fall, a look of shock and rage contorting her features. Elena swiftly kicks the weapon towards Marco, who grabs it and points it at the trio, determination in his eyes. He fires the pistol into the air just over Isabella's head. The sound is shockingly loud for the small pistol. Isabella is momentarily stunned, frozen in place. "Enough, Isabella. This ends now," Elena said, her voice cold and resolute. Just outside the tunnel, they hear voices of concern calling out. Elena approaches Isabella, breathing heavily but victorious. "It's over, Isabella. The authorities will be here soon. These treasures will be protected and studied by experts, as they should be." Elena shouts to the voices outside. "In here! Call the police, urgently!" Isabella sneers, her defiance flickering even in defeat. "You think you've won, but the secrets of the Guardians won't be so easily unraveled. This is far from over." Marco approaches the henchman with the pistol aimed. He then turns the pistol and hits them over the head, knocking the henchman unconscious. With Isabella and her henchman subdued, Elena quickly secures the painting and the artifacts. The authorities arrive swiftly, their flashing lights reflecting off the canal's surface. They take Isabella and her men into custody, the art collector's furious protests echoing through the Venetian night. The next morning, Elena and Marco bring the recovered painting and the detailed journal to Professor Bianchi's office. The professor's eyes widened in astonishment as he examined the artifacts. "You've done it," he said, his voice filled with awe. "This is an extraordinary find." A few months later, Elena and Marco returned to Professor Bianchi's office to learn about the painting's fate. The professor greeted them warmly, motioning for them to sit. "I have some remarkable updates for you," he began, a satisfied smile on his face. "After you left the painting with me, we immediately began the restoration and authentication process. The painting has been confirmed as a genuine masterpiece from the Renaissance period, directly linked to the Guardians of the Light. It is now securely housed in the university's special collection, protected with state-of-the-art security. There will be years of new scholarly work redefining what we know of the Renaissance thanks to you and Marco." Elena and Marco exchange relieved glances. "And what of Isabella?" Marco asked. Professor Bianchi's expression grows serious. "Isabella Conti's trial concluded last week. The investigation uncovered a vast network of stolen artwork she had been fencing for years. The authorities seized her illicit collection, and she has been stripped of her fortune and is now facing a lengthy prison sentence, ensuring she won't pose any further threat to the art world or your discovery." Elena sighed in relief. "It's good to know that justice has been served and that the painting is safe." Professor Bianchi nodded. "Your efforts have not only safeguarded a priceless piece of history, but have also brought a criminal to justice. The exhibition we've prepared is set to open next month, featuring the painting alongside detailed information about the Guardians of the Light. Your names will be prominently credited for this incredible discovery." Later, Elena and Marco stand on a bridge overlooking the Grand Canal, the light of day casting a golden glow on the water. Marco joins Elena, their bond strengthened by the trials they faced together. "What's next for you, Elena?" he asks softly, his gaze warm and steady. Elena smiles, her eyes reflecting the rising sun. "There are always more mysteries to uncover. But for now, I think I might write a book about this adventure." Marco chuckled, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "I'd be the first in line to read it." Elena looks out over the serene water, feeling a sense of fulfillment and anticipation. The secrets of the past had been revealed, but she knew there were countless more waiting to be discovered. With a deep breath, she embraces the new day ready for whatever mysteries lay ahead. And so, with the dawn of a new chapter in her life, Elena Rossi looks forward to the future, knowing that history was never truly lost. It's always there, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to seek it.